Now we are going to move to the next session. We are having here a Cristina Carrascosa giving us a workshop about how to design a successful deck for an MVP. Cristina is a Spanish lawyer, but she has large experience on blockchain. She has actually participated in different working groups, like the core working group on blockchain observatory of the European Commission, also in the cryptocurrency and taxation working group of the Tax Advisors Europe. And also she has experience mentoring startups and SMEs on this topic on different accelerator programs. And this special session actually is addressed at our 25 SMEs, because as part of this the Block Pool Accelerator program, they have to develop an MVP. And Cristina is going to explain us how to design a successful deck to gather all this data and to present and submit this MVP. So Cristina, if you are ready, I just give you the floor. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Carmen. For me, it's a pleasure to be here today. I was just watching the previous session, and I've just seen that you are all quite participative. So please, during my session, do so as well. If you've got any question, any comment, just raise your hand or activate your mic, or just write on the chat, and I'll be glad to answer. Okay, so Carmen, should I share my screen?
Yes, you should be able to.
I will. Yeah, I'll do so now. Okay. Okay. So just let me know when you can see my presentation.
Not yet.
Okay. Just okay. Can you see it now? Yeah.
Yes, Cristina.
Okay. So from my information of this program, you are now developing a proof of concept, a POC, which shouldn't...
Cristina, sorry, but we are not seeing the presentation. We just see seguridad y privacidad, like the settings of the laptop.
Why is this? Okay, can you see it now?
No, maybe you have shared only this screen. When you choose the sharing screen, you can choose if you want.
Here it is.
Yes, now perfect.
Yeah,
there it goes.
So I just updated Zoom, and it has like new functionalities I didn't count with. Okay, so as far as I know, you are now developing a proof of concept, which should take you to some sort of MVP that potentially could then develop onto a prototype. And my job here today is to describe to you how to build a good deck. As Carmen just said, I'm a lawyer, and I've been working for 10 years now with startups. Most of them are tech startups, but I do also work with non-tech startups. So I've read quite a lot of decks by now, and I also work with investors. So bearing that in mind, I came up today with this presentation, which, by the way, I will be the one looking at your decks before they get finally closed. So the basic elements, first of all, what is a deck? So developing a POC is the process by which ideas turn into minimum viable products, which is what you are doing currently with your projects and your ideas. Through the POC, you test and pivot as you develop the initial idea, which should then turn into a prototype. This is more or less the picture of the journey that you will hopefully follow. You first had the idea, now you're on the proof of concept, and then that should go on to a prototype, an MVP, and then a very successful product or service. These icons here just represent what, so this is Capikua's image, just represent what you should be doing with acting, learning, and improving from the idea to the product. Okay, so what is a deck? Then the deck should fall here. Your first deck should fall here. You will not be drafting just one deck. Your deck will also be modified as you keep stepping on this journey. But the one you should be doing at the end of this program falls here. Okay, so through the POC, you test and pivot, and then you develop this initial idea. At the end of the POC process, you should then reflect certain information, which is key not only for investors, but the deck also is useful for any sort of audience that you want to be presenting your results to. So the deck is not only for raise funding, it can also be for example, accrediting that you have reached certain KPIs in a European context for European grants. And the goal is, as I see here, is to attract attention and prove the feasibility of the potential product, okay? So it's just like one very graphic one pager where you say, this was our idea, this is how we are developing it, and this is how we are getting real. That is a deck. So how should I build mine? Now I'm going to show you what are the key elements of a deck, of a successful deck for me. I have not come up with some sort of template because I guess this is something I've seen a lot. So every single project and every single startup have their own brand image, or they feel comfortable with certain assets, colors, and templates. So I have not given you a template as such. I am only giving you the ingredients of that salad, to say it graphically. So please, if you need some sort of template, just ask me, but what I give you today are the ingredients. So first ingredient, the problem. Important, describe the problem that your potential product or service is going to address or is addressing. It needs to be something that everyone understands. So like an example is reduce the time collecting bill payments, okay? So please, when describing your problem, be concise, keep it simple, which always works with text. Keep it simple, but keep it strong. Then second ingredient is the solution. So if you have described your problem or the problem that your product or service will address and hopefully solve, the second thing you will need to do is to say how and why is your company best suited to solve the problem. Okay, so make sure you specify three things. The first thing, what do you do? The second thing, how are you different in the market? And the third one, why are you worth investing in? Or in the context of a European program, why is it worth for your project to keep to be there and not to be to be invested in or to be granted some sort of a European grant? Two keywords. The words in pink are like inspirational words that may help you when drafting your deck. The first one is the secret sauce, which means that you need to be able to make any sort of audience of your deck feel which is your secret sauce, okay? And the second one is specific adjectives. So there are certain words that appear in most of the decks that are just so vague that do not send any sort of message, like great, disruptive, innovative, and all these buzzwords. for example, in the blockchain space, a lot of them are like decentralized, sovereign currency, these words that don't really send a message and that will not get your audience to feel what you're trying to get them to understand. Also, when describing your solution, it's a good idea, just if you have it, including market size and opportunity. Like this one, this is a very graphic example. As you see, this is a market size in the US, which just shows how many prospective users this project has, which are quite a lot. And this is a very good impact for the audience, because as you can see, it's data, but the data is really saying, hey, from out of the 49 million people of the US, 31 million are prospective users of our product, which is quite a good impact, okay? So you can use these sort of images and this sort of data visualization. And when describing your solution, it really helps to see that audience, which can be, as I said, investors or public authorities. It makes them see the potentiality of your product, as these are prospective users. So we don't expect them to be 31 million. We don't expect them to be final users, but I mean, the sensation is that if at least you can get a third or a fifth of them, that's quite a good job, okay? The third ingredient is the product or the service overview, which you could also say it's your defined offering. Then you should really be specifying, one, who is your product or service for? So you specify the audience that you are trying to reach. Second one, why is your product or service needed? Remember not to use empty words, and then some sort of potential roadmap, if you have one, which I'm sure you have, okay? And in this sense, 2 examples. So in the when you describe what is your product or service, which is your defined offering. For example, you, instead of saying we have developed a product or our service consists of, you can use words such as we have developed a desktop software or our product is a mobile app. This makes your audience have, they get a very neat image of the product in their minds, and this helps them see very, very clearly what are you doing and where are you going, okay? Of course, if your product is an app, online tool, or service, please consider if you've got any sort of render, adding screenshots that show off its features. For instance, here's an example of Traveler Connect. This also helps your audience because they can get the image they've got in their minds of what you are doing gets tangible as soon as they can see some example of your service or product. Okay, so this also helps. Also, it gives the message that, hey, we are not only doing some sort of proof of concept, but we are getting very specific with the development of the product. So even if it's only a render, it catches attention. The fourth ingredient of our salad is the competitors. So I've got in my experience, some entrepreneurs fall into the misunderstanding of not including competitors into their decks. Okay, so if you do not include competitors in your deck, that sends a very clear message that is, I don't have any competence, but I don't have any competence, one, because I am considering my product to be too good to what it is, better than the rest. And secondly, I'm not being objective or I'm not being critical. So I'm sure that every one of you in their POCs can detect competitors in the market, and it doesn't matter if it's if you're developing it in a European context. It doesn't matter if it is in the US, if it is in Asia, as long as you can include several competitors of the product, that's okay. One, that shows that you are professional because you are actually concerned of what these guys can do. And it's also a sign of being objective and being sensible with what you are developing. So you can include a list of competitors, and then you can say, how are they addressing the problem? What makes you different from them? And given the event that you've got any sort of IP, please include not details of the content of the IP, of course, but just include what that IP is about, okay? Because that is a very differential element for your deck. And just remember that a lot of investors or even in the grant programs, what we are looking for is differential IP or new software, or, you know, with this COVID situation, we are getting more and more tech-based. So just remember that if you got any sort of IP, you should be including that mention in your deck. This is an example of Airbnb. So I guess if I asked you now, do you reckon Airbnb has competitors? You may say, no, I don't think so anymore. But even them have drafted their own deck, and they included these competitors inside their deck. So, you know, they keep their feet on the ground, and even though they are quite successful, they are aware that they've got competitors. So as you can see, you can include them on a list, or you can do some sort of matrix where you, as Airbnb did, you just distinguish them or classify them based on certain criteria, like affordable, or if they've got online transaction available, how expensive they are. At the end of the day, what we from this side are looking for in your decks is the first thing is to see that you are realistic about your conception of the product, and in the second place, that you are aware of your position in the market, especially regarding competitors. So it's quite a big failure not to include competitors in your deck. On the fifth place, we've got, of course, your team. Your audience, whoever this might be, is interested in the drive of the people of your team and what makes them unique enough to see this project to its success. So every single person that makes up your team has a specific motivation and something that drives them to be working on your projects and your POCs. You just have to detect it and then describe it, because a very motivated team also drives a lot of attention to your projects. And under each core team member, just consider, I didn't include it in the inspirational image, but under each core team member, consider including bullets, descriptions, or titles that show why they are central to your mission. Because, of course, not only their motivation is important, but just, for example, if you have someone in your team or yourself that you've got a lot of experience on the field that you're working on with your POC, that's another extra point for your deck. I sometimes, when I work with startups that are developing products in the crypto space, they ask me if I can appear inside their teams because I've got like a 10-year experience in the space. So that makes them appear that they know also what they're doing if they have solid experience on the field or on the market in the industry. Okay, so the team is also a good idea. Also, it makes your audience connect with your product and your team, your human team. That's also a very good point for your deck. And of course, the financials or KPIs. I'm sure that your POCs have certain KPIs that you are just testing and working to achieve. Then just bear in mind that you may not have proper financial reports, of course, just bearing in mind we are still at the POC stage, but you surely have an estimation of the costs that you need for your product's projected growth. So for a short-term growth of the product or the service, just put together the numbers and show your audience that you are realistic about how much money would you need, or how much help or financial aid you would need for your product to grow. And if not, at least reflect the KPIs that were established during the POC, because this is nuclear for the deck, because you've been now, so Carmen told me that you have been already working on the POC for several months. So I'm sure you do have KPIs that you've achieved, other KPIs that you have pivoted, but you do have KPIs. So please include them in the deck, because that shows progression, that shows numbers and data, and that's what the audience will be looking at. The main KPIs that were established during the POC, especially just highlight those that were met, because that shows and sends the message of we've been successful. Okay. And so those are the 6 ingredients that need to be yes or yes inside the deck. You can add others. Just remember that a deck is some sort of one-pager. It shouldn't be something very long, because it should attract attention just with one side, with that one-pager. And of course, it doesn't have to be too simple or too exaggerated. It needs to be balanced. So maybe with those 6 ingredients, you've got more than enough. If you want to add others, I will remain at your disposal to discuss if you want adding new ingredients to this deck. I just think that with these 6, you've got more than enough to get a very successful deck. And I want now to give you general tips that these tips I have put them together based on my previous experience with startups and decks. So the first one is, please use bullets. So we don't want decks to be a lot of wording. We've got reports, we've got emails, and we've got other kind of templates for wording and long sentences. So in your decks, please use bullets. The second one is to be concise. We need to be direct with our decks. We should be able to show the deck to any sort of person. It doesn't matter if it's a friend, if it's a potential investor, if it's some sort of public authority. We should be able to show them that deck, and they should be able to get a strong message and a very clear idea of what you're doing. So be concise and just avoid empty words such as great, disruptive, and those sort of stuff that we all know about. The third one is be graphic. So if you are in this European program and you are developing a POC, I'm sure that you are creative people. I'm sure. So be graphic, be creative and be graphic. And if you can say something with an image, do it and not use a word instead, okay? Be as graphic as you want. And the fourth one is please be sure that the whole deck contains a solid and congruent message and that it makes sense. There's nothing worse for someone that's showing a deck that inconsistency. So if we've got a one-pager, like we should, that should be able to have a very solid and congruent, consistent message, okay? So in that sense, of course, I will be helping you, and I don't know if Carmen has already told you, but I will be here for as long as, I will be here for when you may need me, coming to draft and have these successful decks that are consistent, that are graphic, and that can send and transmit the idea of your products as best as we can. So this is the information I wanted to share with you as to the deck. As you can see, it's not something that's very hard or very long to do, but things can get complicated when you try to put together this deck, because from my experience, the feeling that you have as an entrepreneur when you have to draft a deck is that you're missing a lot of things that you would want to include in the deck. So I will be here to help you if that's the case. If you come up with a deck and you don't need me, well, that's great. But if you need me, I will be here too. And you can just email me. I think we also have some sort of collective sessions, I don't know, but I can help you with that. Okay, so thanks for listening to me. I don't know if there are any questions now. I left like half an hour to because I see that there's a lot of people here today. Just if you have any sort of questions.
Thank you, Cristina. Yes, as Cristina said, she will be supporting all of us in developing this one-pager deck. So during this 1 month that you have to complete this this document, let's say, you can contact Cristina for to solve any doubt that you might have. Also, I see many mentors, external mentors of the projects here. So they also will be able to keep supporting you also in this last step in the accelerator program. So you will have Cristina contact details. Also, she can be added to our Slack channel to facilitate communication. So this is for you to know. I see one question from Mietsko in the chat. Yeah. Do we design a deck, 10 slides, or a one-pager? I think those were used interchangeably at Blockpool, but aren't the same.
Yeah, so no, those are different things. So a 10-slide presentation, that would be more like in detail, and that should be, I think that's useful for a stage where there's some sort of investor that has interest in seeing your product more in depth. But for the purpose of the program, what we should have is a one-pager where we can gather all the results of the POC. So answering to the question, maybe the one-pager could be the first page of the first page, and then the 10 slides can be just like the description in detail of that cover. But we just need the cover.
Hi, Cristina, I'm Simone. I have a question. We invested a lot of time, probably all of us, in the development. No, so we have application, we have blockchain architectures. It is really small things to provide something in one pager related to the job that we have done. So are we able to include some links to some video? Do we need to put some downloadable app for demo or something like that? Or it will be focused only on, I tell you that it's working, you need to trust me. No, it's a little bit different. Yeah. Because I'm running to have everything ready. So
yeah, Simone, so I do understand perfectly your question. And this is exactly what I was talking about. So I've been there before, and I've felt that before. But just remember, of course, if you've got some sort of demo or beta application, you can include the link. Just what I was trying to transmit you is the message that the person who will see that deck, what wants to see is that you've just done this POC and you've got results. Whatever the results are, just you've got results. And if you include, for example, a link, the message that sends to the audience is, hey, we have taken the most out of the POC, and we've got already some sort of application. Here it is. And then if that person specifically wants to see what the app is about, they will click on the link and just see what you've done. Okay. But the thing is, I do understand that development takes a lot of time, and especially me, that I work with a lot of tech companies. But the deck, and I know you want to show that load of heavy work on the deck, of course, but I can just trust me when I say that when you come up with that deck and you've got those ingredients well worked, it sends the message that you've done a lot of development too. So you don't have to say like, hey, this is my GitHub profile and just see how many lines of code I've done, or these are all the different phases of the development that we have already done, execute it, but just take it a step further and look it from a macro perspective, like it's a product, not just the POC and the development work. So you've got to like wrap it up and trust it. This is a trust the process issue. The deck needs to show your application as a product. And if you've come up with some sort of beta version of the application, then the message your deck will send is, hey, we took the most out of the POC. We worked hard and we took the most out of the POC, and look what we've got. Here's our application or our potential application.
Maybe a demo video, 2-3 minutes of how the application works, or another link on how the blockchain is working, no? Maybe things like this.
Or this message of, so when you have to describe your product, just say, this is our product, this is what it does, this is the problem it solves, and then say, hey, and you know what? We've got an application. You can download it here. Because then the person that's seeing your deck will say, oh, these guys already have a beta version or an application. This is more than a POC. This goes into some sort of prototype phase.
Okay, because the aim of the deck is to be analyzed internally by the block pool team, I think, no? To approve that we are going to receive the money, but it will also remain on the desk of the block pool in case of European Union goes to do a check. So I think it must be most completely possible, no? Because
yeah,
yes.
Of course. At the end, sorry, Carmen.
Sorry, no, yeah, because this is, I think this affects to block pool. So this MVP deck is a deliverable as part of the accelerator program. Then you will have also to submit a report for the financials, also financial report. So these are two different things. We don't have to mix them. Also, I want to say that if you have already some demos that you want to share with the team, you are very welcome to do so. But this is just regarding this deck that you have to submit, like the last deliverable for the accelerator program. Just this.
So a part of the deck, we need to bring you the proof that we made the investment, okay? Mm-hmm. But the information about what we did and how it works is this one pager. We are not going to provide more information than this.
Yes, we will give you details about this other report that you will have to prepare to prove that you have been developing your projects, etc. Also to receive this financial support, the last payment. And yeah, I think we will give you details next following week, so you have time enough to prepare these documents.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Can I?
Yes, Mariola, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. For example, for us, we have the platform developed, but not yet for all the clients. So we have like an explanation for one of our test clients. This could be, this will be, sorry. This could be like a proof for our development, like a video explaining all the process.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the only difficult point of a video is that it's not very simple to insert it into a PDF that will then be printed. So you've got to have like these two ways of showing your work. One is something that's printed, something that's graphic and that's printed. And as Simone said, just think about some sort of brochure that contains all your decks that can be printed. So that could sit anywhere in the European Union, and you need and the aim is for anyone to see that and say, hey, this is a fantastic product. Mm-hmm. Then you've got the online PDFs or PPTs that do have links that you can click on. And that's the place where I would insert the videos. But if we are looking at decks that can be paper-based, then you need to find, or we need to find a way to put that on a deck and make it interesting.
Okay, then better a screenshot of all the platform and okay.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
There is a question from Kristaps on the chat and asking that there are any tools that you can, Cristina, suggest for decks.
Yes, I will send. Are we all on the Slack channel? Because I can come together with a list of platforms and then send it via Slack to you.
Okay. Yes,
yeah,
we can
so
do
if
that.
if that works, yeah, okay, I will
We can
do so.
that after the session or after the bootcamp, so they have.
Okay. And Salome says, hi, should we use the graphic chart of the project or company or the block pool chart for this deck? That's for you, Carmen, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's charts, I think, are much welcome, no, on the decks to use and to show the more visual data and details. I think this is the point, no, to use this kind of charts, tools to show your results and outcomes.
Yeah, what I will do as well is I will put together a document that contains sources for you to do your decks and then examples of what I think are successful decks. So then you can have the inspiration and the tools to do your own decks. Okay. So I don't think there are any more questions.
Yes, if you have any more questions regarding this, just please ask. And then, as I said, you will have Christina's contact and more information about this. So don't worry right now that much. You will be rightly informed.